Well, hello and welcome to another awesome edition of the AOPP Live. I am Dr. Jerry Dreessen, your host for the next 15-20 minutes to go through, again, all of the things that are happening here in the world of the PEMF profession, and those of you that are using PEMF devices, and also for those of you that have no idea what PEMF is. Again, this is a great place to come in and learn. We've got lots of history of previous videos. You can check them out on our YouTube channel. Here in this Facebook page, you can scroll and check out, based on title, what you want to watch. And speaking of titles, what I want to do today is talk about one of the interesting things as we're going through PEMF is the different genres or niches that you can be working on. And one of the studies that we found is basically who is responding as far as the older adults that nobody is marketing to. So those of you that are working on humans, I guess this will be a good stream for you to watch today. So this was done a Singapore study, and they did 101 adults ages 38 to 91. That's kind of the take home. And who's responding and how we know it. And this is actually a 4-part series. So this is part 1 of our 4-part series, and I'll talk a little bit more about the other ones as we get through this. So let's jump in and talk about our series. And so the global research points somewhere the PEMF industry has largely not gone, and that's the older adults and frail adults, senior animals, as far as getting into the multiple years kind of a thing. So that's those of you that just do animals. Those are as a chiropractor, I have patients, and they talk about how much money they're spending on their vet bills and their surgeries, and thousands of dollars for like an MRI on a knee on a dog. Those of you that have animals, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you for the first time are like, what? And now there's pet insurance, so health insurance for your pets. So there's this whole new vein that's going on, and to be in there as a PEMF provider for animals, that's another avenue that we're not going to talk about today, but I just wanted to roll that in. And just a quick shout out to Andrea. Hello. Yes, thank you. Glad to be a part of this amazing product, technique, and group. But again, today I want to talk about the least marketed group of people, and as far as the least served demographic in this field, and it's in our communities wherever we are. And we'll be talking about this over the next 4 sessions, but in this particular one, over a 4-week period, as far as who's responding, what standardized protocol looks like, and how that differs regarding what most of us run. So the Singapore study, they had 101 adults aged 38 to 91, and 87% was some sort of existing mobility dysfunction, and it wasn't a healthy volunteer group. And again, it was what they did was 10 minutes once a week to the leg over 12 weeks. About 85% of these 101 adults reported improvement, with the greatest gains in the oldest, frailest participants. So the muscle maintenance improved by week 8 about 72%. Pain perception dropped by month 3, comparable to what other exercise people were doing. So again, it's tough to get somebody to come to a place, but some of the ideas was, rethinking the package and how this could apply to your practice or your business, but put together like a 12-week, once weekly commitment, which is different than a 5-week session pack, and how it matches the outcomes that got accrued. And so if you could find a senior living community where you set up and you work that, and there's different levels of senior communities where you could come in and you could be some of these communities, like there's one near me where you come in and people, that's part of what they pay for is to have you show up and have this done. Other people that have no problem, making payments to what you're doing. Some of them where nobody has any money and they have all kinds of problems, and that might be your place where you volunteer. There's lots of different ways to work this based on what you want to do. But rethink your referral network, because senior living communities, retirement communities, and adult children arranging care for a parent, they can also be referral sources for other things. But I would say, and I was just out of a network group that I was with where we talk about the 80-20 rule. So you can spend 80% of your day working on something that's only going to net you 20% of your income. Whereas if you focus on 20% of this niche group, that's going to create 80% of your income. And so I would say, for those of you starting out, or those of you that are looking for ways of adding income, is that you go to these senior places that they go, yeah, we would love to have you come in. Everybody here would pay for your service. That's where you want to start. If you want to get out there to get your name out there, you can flip that script and go to some of these senior centers where people are having a hard time, just getting up and moving around. And it's kind of, I don't know. I work with senior care people that run these organizations, and there's like 3 levels. So there's the upper group that, they're just hanging out, having a good time, and they travel and they, have their own car. And over here, there's people that have mobility issues and they never make it out of the clinic or the place that they're staying. Great question by Andrea as far as liability. I'll talk about that in a second. But then also set the expectation window honestly, because muscle changes around week 8, pain changes around month 3, according to this study. And screen for implants is the main thing at intake. And again, you want to do your screening. So, as we talk about with humans, what meds are they on? Because this is going to increase the ability of medication absorption. Are there any implants? What's going on? And again, if you're working in the 20% group, this is the group that gets out running around. They're doing sports, they're going to shows, they're having fun, but they've got these aches and pains, and this will help them out. Whereas the people that are bedridden and they barely make it out of bed, and they have somebody that's working with them 24/7. Like I said, those are the different areas. But liability, it's find out what you're comfortable with, and then go after that group. Find 1 or 2 in your area that meet your standards. Versus you bending to meet their standards, because that could be a problem. And then as far as the honest caveat to this, again, this was a community case study. It wasn't a placebo-controlled study, and much of the outcome was participant reported. But it's just, for us, it's like, hey, here's something to think about doing. That's something that speaks to you, and you want to put something like that together. We will definitely help you kind of work through that if you need any help. But the study used one proprietary device and signal. We are, as AOPP, we're a device neutral. So, it was basically a the signal, the intensity, and the duration are not interchangeable across the equipment. So those are some other things to talk about or to know about. And again, your machine, its limits or what it can do. So those are some things going on as well. I would believe with this study, it was more of a medium kind of device. It wasn't super light. It wasn't super strong, which is why, we have those changes over that time. And again, nothing here is a claim about treating, preventing, or reversing aging or disease, but if you have a PEMF device, it helps with anybody's joints or systems. Here's a group that is underserved because we're out working with the with the sports people, with the high end people where they do notice the change and it does improve their ability. And again, as an elite athlete, if you can change 1% of what you do, like shave off 1% of your time or your lift or that type of a thing, it's the difference for some people between not placing and being in the top three. So PEMF definitely has a place for that, but like I said, we're kind of reversing it and going into this area. Andrea. Right, and again, as far as somebody giving bad information or not knowing, again, look for the places where you don't have to worry about that. So it's like, well, nobody told me that they had an implant. Well, that's why is that? Well, that's the senior center that you went to, or that's again, look to the places where. That's happening. And even if you want, if they're seeing a medical doctor, it's like, hey, if you want to use this, these are all of the things that you need to have checked off. I want you to have this signed off by your medical doctor or something like that. So if you want to put together a CYA form, that's definitely something to think about. But for the most part, how many of your clients are over 65 right now, and has anyone worked with the senior living community? And you may only have to jump in and work with one or two, especially if the communities are close next to each other. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? Hey, missed you at the reunion, and I wasn't able to go either. So, Kathy and I went to high school together. So yeah, let's talk. If anyone has worked in a senior living community, those are some of the things is we want to work with those of you that have also worked at those places because you've probably already encountered some of the steps involved, or here's what to look for. But definitely, oh, you did go. Go to some of these. Places and then educate us on best practices too, because we thought it was a really good study to share, and some of you as far as a place to look for to help people out, or just even in your community. So some of the senior activities, or getting set up in that system. I have in my chiropractic practice, I have a group of seniors that go to a pool therapy and then they come and see me afterwards. And it's a group of 8 women, and they just love coming in and seeing me, but they've also, linked to the community. They grew up here, so they have all kinds of connections all over the place too. So that's a really good way of building your business as well, doing a good service for our seniors. So yeah, if you have anybody that you've worked with, any insights that you have, leave the comments here in this thread, either on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. That would be great. And again, this is part 1 of a part 4 series. So next week we're going to talk about senior animals, already on your schedule, kind of the same demographic question, but some of the best veterinary PEMF results. And we're pulling from some of the insights that we have to do this 4-part series. So with that, if you enjoyed today's message on PEMF and what we can do in our senior community, shoot us a thanks or a hello, even in this thread here, even after those of you that are watching the recording, again, thanks for watching it. But if you have any questions on the material, or if you have any tips, definitely shoot us a line, info@pemfprofessionals.com. And if you are interested in becoming a member, we are global. So we are now an international organization, multiple countries. We're going to be doing our convention coming up, a little bit more on that too. But for now, if you have time to like or share, we would appreciate that. And I'm going to be closing out today, pretty short, but again, our goal is to give you bite-sized pieces that you can, again, take into your community and help you with your PEMF business, but also some knowledge on what PEMF is about. So, like today's video, share it with your friends, jump over to YouTube, or we're on Instagram and LinkedIn, and give us a like there. Again, that helps us with our algorithms. And always, always, always ask questions. We're here to help out. So with that, I want to thank you very much for jumping on today. And I've been enjoying your questions. We are closely looking at those of you that entered our logo contest for our PEMF Con 2026. So I'll be adding a little bit more about that, hopefully at our next get-together next week. So again, thank you very much. And where are we? We are August 20. So we got one more week in August. So we'll see you again as we end the month of August. Take care and thanks.